Hello, welcome back. While his hapless on-screen character might have little luck finding treasure, Mackenzie Crook certainly has had no trouble scooping up the prizes.
He struck gold, writing, directing and starring in the comedy series The Detectorists, landing 2 BAFTAs for the first season. So naturally, of course, he's back with a second.
He's here with us now. Morning to you. Lovely to see you.
Morning. Thank you.
Before we have a chat, we'll have a little look at the clip of the programme.
Great. Come on then. Oh. Yeah. Can I feed him? You want him? Yeah, go on then. Hello, Stanley. Support his head. Yeah, I know. Support his head. I am. Hello, Stanley. Check it's not too hot by putting a bit on you. It's good. Here we go. What? That's... The milk is... What?
Mackenzie Crook is here with us now.
His uncle's germs, doesn't matter.
Yes.
I'm very good morning to you. Lovely to see you.
Thank you.
So this is the second series, and it's moved on, what, about a year after the first series, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's a year later on from when we left them on the first series. So Andy and Becky are now married, and they have this baby Stanley.
Yeah. Who your character's sort of looking after mostly.
Yes, well, Becky's gone back to work. Andy's still without a job, so he's still metal detecting, but now with a baby.
And this is very much your baby, isn't it? The Detectorists. So
Yes, of course. I thought you meant
It's not your baby, that baby.
No, that was an actor baby.
Yes.
But yeah, Detectorists was my idea, and yeah, I wrote it and directed it.
So you already knew when you had this first series that there was a second series planned. That must have been quite a moment to realise that it was going to be commissioned again.
Yes, yeah. I mean, that was wonderful. You know, I wasn't even sure that anybody would understand what I was trying to do with the first series. You know, on paper, the idea of 2 middle-aged blokes out metal detecting and talking rubbish to each other isn't a particularly exciting idea, but you know, that it was a success and we got a second series was fantastic.
Well, it's a nice thing about it. It's a nice, relaxing, easy watch. It's not gag-tastic, if you like, and you designed it specifically like that.
Yes, yeah. I knew I wanted it to be very sort of low-key and yeah, space between the jokes and yeah. So yeah.
And tell me about Detectorists. Have you always been fascinated by people who go out metal? I'm going to get the terminology wrong here. Metal detecting.
Yeah. I have always been fascinated. It's not actually a hobby of mine. Well, it sort of is now. I've sort of got into it through doing this programme. But I mean, I've always been fascinated in hobbies in general and collections. I've always had collections and those sort of niche, nerdy, traditionally nerdy hobbies.
Because your dad was a coin collector, and then did you scoff at him when he had a coin collection when you were a child?
He used to try and get me interested in it, and I just simply wasn't interested. I couldn't see what was appealing about it at all until I got to sort of my mid-30s, and suddenly something in my brain shifted. And
what is it? What's it about coins that's so fascinating?
That's very scathing.
No, it's an open question.
I think it's a social history that all of my coins are. They have been circulated, and so somebody would have used that to buy whatever, you know, however long ago. And it's the same with metal detecting. When you pull up a coin that hasn't been seen for hundreds of years.
So what's your rarest or your most precious coin?
I've got I've got a George I Woods halfpenny. That won't mean anything to you, but in America they go crazy over that.
George I.
And have you found some of these coins, or you?
I found a few recently, but in bad condition.
Yeah.
Shall we take a look at, just remind ourselves from the first series where you're being told off by your screen wife about your hobby. Here you go.
Yes.
You are always staring at the ground.
Oh, I'm not.
You are! You're always scanning the ground looking for stuff. You can't help yourself. It's all those years detecting. You never look up. No wonder you've got a bad back.
Come on.
Honestly, I bet you'd be amazed at the things you've missed because you've been locked in your own little world, staring at the floor.
Rubbish.
And the wife played there by Rachel Sterling, who's the daughter of Diana Rigg, and her mother in the series is played by Diana Rigg. That's
right.
Is it a deal that they both come together?
Apparently Diana was a big fan of the first series, and yeah, me and Rachel and the producer Adam Tandy sort of came up with the idea of why don't we ask if she wants to be in it, and she was very happy to. She was only available for one day, so we did 2 scenes, one in the first episode, one in the 6th.
Okay. And tell us a little bit about where it's filmed, because and you got some sunshine, didn't you? Were you lucky with that, or?
Yeah, well, the first series we had perfect weather all the way through. This time around it's a little bit more tricky. There was a few rainy days, but
It didn't look like it.
no, it looks so beautiful. It's all shot in Suffolk, and yeah, I mean,
Elsewhere in your career, you've been part of an amazing cinema franchise, Pirates of the Caribbean. You've
Yes.
been in, was it 3 of them?
the first three. I was
First
in,
3.
yes.
And then the 4th one comes along, you go, no, not for me, because you're doing this.
Yeah, well, this is they've just made a 5th Pirates one, but yeah, I mean, it wasn't really a choice. You know, this is, as you say, my baby, and the Pirates movie was exactly the same time as doing the 2nd series of this, so it wasn't really a choice for me.
Yes, it's interesting because I'm not sure everybody would turn down big Hollywood movies like that, but you had to.
But you know, I love doing Detectorists so very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the music in Detectorists, because it's beautiful music, and you was part of setting that up and all the rest with a friend. Is that right?
Yeah, my friend Johnny Flynn wrote the music. Him and a guy called Dan Michelson. I worked with Johnny, who's you probably know, he's an actor as well. I worked with him a few years ago, and I loved his music. And I asked if he'd compose the soundtrack for Detectorists.
And do you like writing for people that you know well? Does that make it easier for you?
Absolutely, yes. I mean, most of these parts in Detectorists, I had someone in mind and wrote it for them.
What sort of feedback have you had from Detectorists?
They love it. In general, they love it. I know they were very nervous before the first series went out. They were worried that they were going to be, you know, taking the mickey out of, and it would be a parody. But I think pretty much they've embraced
Because
it.
it does take the mickey, but in a sort of gentle, loving way.
Yeah, I think that it's truthful to the hobby. You know, the fact is, most of the time they find buttons and buckles, and it's only occasionally they'll find the interesting things. But yeah.
And how like your character are you?
To be honest, a lot. It's sort of a more pathetic version of me, an exaggerated version of me.
Oh, it's
very
really
nice
lovely.
version,
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Mackenzie.
Thank
Nice
you.
to see
The Detectorists starts again, BBC 4 on Thursday, the 29th of October.
Charlie and I will be here tomorrow morning from 6 on BBC One.
And now it's over to the Rip Off Britain studio for this morning's mix of investigations, advice, and more of your problems tackled on the spot. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, guys.